Mic check, mic check. There we go. And we got a little volume. We in here. We in here. What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Sip the Tallahassee. I'm your host, Coach Evans. And what we're gonna do today is we're gonna talk about the Baltimore Ravens 12 personnel. And you know, two ways we're gonna do this. I'm gonna show you a bunch of different alignments that we can do with 12 personnel and create mismatches. And then we're gonna go back and look at some old Georgia tape and show you what Todd Monken did with the two tight ends he had. Just a few plays that I think that he should or could, you know, bring in and use with the 12 personnel. Because we all know the emergence of Isaiah Likely last year. And really, they should have been, in my opinion, they should have been using 12 personnel a lot more than they did last year. Like, Likely was just sitting there just on ice for the most part. Then when Mark got hurt, he came out and did his thing. And so we should have been using 12 personnel from the jump. Now, I know Todd Monken has a bag with 12 personnel in it because of the guys he had at Georgia. The guys we had at Georgia. So, like I said, two parts. I'm going to show you a bunch of different formations we can do with 12 personnel. Then I'm going to switch my program over and then show y'all some film of what Monken did while he was at Georgia using 12 personnel and some of the stuff that I think we may see in this coming up year. So let's kind of go ahead and get started with that. Appreciate you, C Iron. Let me shout a few y'all before we get started. C Iron, I appreciate it. Sega Genesis, good afternoon, my brother. Juice Man, what's good? What's good? What's good? Blitzbacker, good to have you here. Cam, was good. Let's see. Big Reg, I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yolanda B, appreciate you guys for coming through. And let's kind of dive on into this thing. Let me switch my screens and let's see if we can get into it. All right, here we go. So let's start off with the different ways we can use 12 personnel. And so you can see I got the potential starting lineup in there. Not likely. Zay, Bateman, you know, Likely, Mark. Who's the quarterback? Being funny. Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. Then you see the potential O-line up there too. I got, as far as now, I got Stanley, Voorhees, Linderbaum, Cleveland, and Rosengarten. Now that may not be it, but me, I'm just guesstimating for the simple purpose of this exercise. So just a bunch of different formations you can use with 12 personnel. And this guy right here, this is Likely. He's special. Keep in mind, he's special. So you can have your traditional ace stuff right here. This is, you know, what most people call ace. You can have it lined up like that. Or you can have it with Lamar in the center and Henry, you know, in the backfield. You can have ace that way. You can have it what we call, you can overload one side with your tight ends right here. You can do it like that. Or you can have like this. Let me take them off. He'll have to be off if they do that. They have to be off. So be more like a wing. More like a wing. You can do it like that. The thing is, though, when you want to, you know, get a little fancy and get a little crazy with it, you can line Mark up at traditional tight end and bump this dude out. So now you got Likely as more like a slot receiver. Then you got Zay and Bateman on the other side. Or just flip-flop them. Just flip-flop them and use Zay as your slot guy. It's a bunch of different ways you can do this. But one of the ways I like to do it, or like to see it done, is come out in something like this, and the defense going to adjust. They're going to put their big guys out there, and because our tight ends are so flexible in what they do, then you shift that thing. Shift it to that. And so now you got a lot heavy defensive personnel, but basically 4 receivers out there. And you can do a bunch of different things. But also, I don't want to forget about this dude. So let's take, for the sake of it, let's take Likely off and add Ricard. So now, even though Ricard is more like a fullback, you still can use him as a tight end. You can go with your A stuff with Ricard. You come over here and use Ricard as a wing back and do your inside zone stuff where Ricard's coming back across the formation to block the end. Or you can do some kind of pulling stuff with Ricard being the wrapper. You may want to pull one of your guards and then have Ricard come up and be the wrapper. It's a bunch of different things you can do with Ricard in there, other than just putting him right here and playing fullback. other than that, because he can play fullback and do all the blocking stuff you need, be the lead back on ISO, be the back on outside zone. Ricard has proven himself to be versatile, and the fact that he can catch the ball a little bit too. Now, when we had Roman, I felt like he was used a little bit too much, but I think Todd Monken has found the sweet spot for Ricard. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you know I was a Ricard, I ain't gonna say a hater, but you pretty much knew where the ball was going if Ricard was in the game. Well, with Monken, that ain't necessarily the case. And I think that Monken has found a good sweet spot for Ricard in the game. Now, also, you take Ricard out, don't forget about Kolar. We can put Likely back in because he got some 3 tight end stuff too. And so we'll take Bait out. So you get some 3 tight end stuff in there too. You get over, especially once we get in the goal line, because you got this dude right here that can just do a bunch of different things, and you can also pull with any one of these guys. I probably would not pull with Likely. Kolar's probably the better blocker out of all 3 of these guys, but I know Mark can do it. And Likely is the best blocker if you put him out in space. I don't know how much blocking he gonna do up in here around this line of scrimmage, but I know if you get him out here, he block his tail off. Normally because he's going to get smaller guys. So that's no shade, nothing like that, but I'm just saying. Or you can put him on the backside or something. Put him on the backside. You can run any kind of play action this way, have Likely in the flats, or they come out in the heavy personnel, like I mentioned ago, because you got 3 tight ends. Bam. Slide Likely out there. Slide Mark as another slot guy. Then put Kolar at the block. So there's a bunch of different ways you can use this personnel package. And, you can mix and match it 100 different ways. Especially because you got Kolar and Ricard that you can really trust. More so Ricard than Kolar in the blocking situation. But really 42 is your blocking guy. So if you want a blocking tight end in there, it's probably going to be Ricard. Because he's the best blocker out of all 3 of these guys. And he's reliable enough to catch stuff in the flats and do different things right there because Greg had him doing all that stuff. So you could play with formations 100 different ways and see, if you got a creative mind and use, 2 tight end sets. But the main one that I want to see out of this 12 personnel set is this right here. Let me get back to my original set. Is that you can have it under center or you can put them in the hip. But I would rather it be under center. That way, and I'm going to see, maybe if I can do this. That way you can run your outside zone stuff that way because your formation is balanced. You can run it that way also because your formation is balanced. Then you can play action too. You can run zone, have Lamar boot out. You can go down, come back out. You can run your go route, get a deep over, which is what we tend to do, and deep post. Or you can flip it. There's so many things you can do with Lamar in the center that really kind of prohibits him, in the shotgun. Let me go back. Because if you had the same stuff in the shotgun, say you have him right there and Lamar right there. Pretty much, not all, but pretty much every play has to go that way. Pretty much. There are some plays where he can come across and get downhill, but for the flow to work, pretty much every play is going to go across the body, and the defense knows that. So that's why they be shifting and doing all kind of other stuff too, unless you just run some kind of quarterback run where Henry will lead and Lamar come behind it, or a speed option or something like that, because you still can run speed options to his right side. The running back just got to bow back, and then the quarterback had to hit it downhill. But I don't want Lamar running no speed option, not at this point in his career, even though he's smaller. I know. But again, there's just a bunch of different ways you can run this. And again, run an outside zone from this formation and then using the play action off of it. I'm telling you, that would be deadly because you got to respect 22. You got to respect 8. So let's just say you got an end right here. Let me put an end up here. Let's say you got a defensive end right there. And you run an outside zone. My bad. Wrong button. You run an outside zone that way. So the defensive end can't just run up the field and chase it down because you got this boot action. So if he run up the field and chase it down, you got 8 in space. That's probably a bunch of safeties or something worse nightmare. So that means the defensive end got to stay and play the boot. And now you should have numbers on the front side. And if anybody, a linebacker, anybody overruns that, Derrick Henry going to hit this thing downhill. And if he can get to the safety one-on-one without being touched, he probably going to run over him or outrun him. There's just so many different things that they got adding Derrick Henry and putting Lamar under center so much. Now I was a huge detractor of him under center at first because in the old days as a defensive end when they come out in this boot, you can just hit the quarterback in his mouth and say you don't know if he got the ball. But that's not the case anymore. Because I know we used to teach it if a quarterback boot out, we told the defensive end just go hit him. Because you don't know if he got the ball because, you know, ball handlers were so good with play action fakes and all that stuff. And we just told the defensive end, go hit it. And you know, our excuse was, we don't know if he had the ball or not. So we just had to hit him. But you can't do that, you know, in today's NFL. You got to be strategic in your shots. So let's kind of transition into some of the plays that Todd Monken used at Georgia. So I got to give me a second to flip my stuff around. Got to change my screen. All right. Again, appreciate you guys for coming through. Let me get this set up for you real quick. Take this down. Put this up. Because Todd had some good stuff now. I'm about to show you some good stuff at Georgia. Some stuff gonna be basic and the play is not going to look like it's worth anything, but you gotta think in mind, take these college guys out of the picture and put our, you know, Ravens guys in those situations. So that's the way I was looking at it when I was doing it. So you got to keep that in mind when I show y'all this stuff too. All right, let's get into it. Let's go back to the film. I gotta make your screen not as big. Give me 1 second. I had to dumb it down for the drawing purposes. Let me get your screen right. All right. There we go. Now we cooking. If I can grab it. Almost there. Almost there. Give me a hot second. Be patient with me. I want to make sure it's right for you. There we go. Now do this. There we go. Now we in there. All right. Appreciate it. Appreciate your patience. Appreciate your patience. Now let's get into it. Clip from UGA. Obviously Georgia's in the white, and again you see your two tight ends right here. You got one tight end here. You got one tight end here. Now, that could be Mark. It could be Ricard. It could be a bunch of different things. Two tight ends don't always mean two guys lined up next to the lineman. That formation just means you got two tight ends in the game, and you can line them up anywhere. You can line them up anywhere and do different things with them. I guess they're running the outside zone with them two tight ends because you put two tight ends on it, the strength call is probably going to be on this side because this is the side with the two tight ends. So, and you can kind of see that because look at, you got 3 technique, you got a 5. And you got a walked up, I think this is a safety because I think this is a cornerback here in the back. So they've obviously declared this the strong side. So now you run outside zone away from that, you got numbers. And let me show you your numbers. You got your center, you got 1, 2, 3 versus their 1. Well, they say 4, but you get where I'm going. 1, 2, 3 versus they 1, 2, 3. And then when you hand the ball off to the back, you got numbers because the next guy here is this safety back here. So that's another positive of using 12 personnel. And that's what they did right here. The play wasn't that effective because the blocking wasn't the greatest, but you get the gist of where I'm going with it. Let's go to this next one. This is versus Michigan. Got boy Jabo on here. This is the last time he played a lot. And your tight ends, you got one here, and you got this guy here. No, that's not him. I'm sorry. Your tight ends out here, they got him flexed out. But again, you come out in 12 personnel. They got to put an extra guy in because they don't know if you're going to flex him out or have him in the line. So you got to be able to match up at the line of scrimmage. You got an RPO off of it. For those that don't know, in the chat box. Any idea who this is? Any idea who that is right there? I'll tell you in a second because I know the you getting is actually a little bit behind me. But that's A.D. Mitchell. That's A.D. Mitchell with Todd Monken in the 2 years they won the national championship. but you get your RPO off of it. And, you get 2 tight ends, you're going to get guys in the box. Especially if you got a decent enough receiver to play off. This is simple. This is easy. This will be a cake throw for Lamar. A cake throw. You way off, let me throw this hitch to Zay. Let me throw this hitch to Bateman. And both of those guys are decent to good at making people miss. So look at this space right here. You get Bateman or Zay out here one-on-one with this cornerback. If he make a miss, he off to the races. Off to the races. Let's go to another one. Obviously, you definitely see your 2 tight ends at the top. You got one in line, and you got one off the ball. You see how they shift? You saw the defense shift all the way to that side? Because obviously that's a strong side. Now, what if you did something backside? I was able to come down here with something. Bring the 3rd tight end in. So now you got 3 tight ends. Because I forgot 86 was a tight end. So now you got 3 tight ends. So this is why I talked about maybe using Kolar, maybe using Ricard. And again, keep in mind, and the reason I picked this play, assume this is Isaiah Likely. Assume this is Isaiah Likely. Let's say this is Mark. Say this is Kolar. Just assume that. But the key one is I got highlighted as Isaiah Likely. You got in a run heavy formation. Everybody's coming downhill, even the linebackers. Now they got to retreat. So you run an out and up with 19. You got to respect that seam. If Mark's running the seam, you got to respect it. You got to respect it. And that's where the safety's going. He's running out. He's going to turn it up at the sideline. And just imagine that being Isaiah Likely. A money play. A money play. So it's in Muckson's bag. We just got to pull this stuff out. It's definitely there. And, I will, excuse me if I'm not responding to chat because the way I got this set up right now, I can't see the chat. I can't see the chat. But you got your tight ends here. One there, one there. And again, you gotta respect both our tight ends. So they got all that covered down the field. You drop this thing off right here to Henry, Keaton Mitchell, or any of the other backs we got. That's free yardage. Because our tight ends are so good at catching the ball, you got to respect them down the field, especially in the middle of the field. You got to respect that. You got to. So you push guys down the field with your tight ends because, of what they do. You got to respect it. So now it opens up stuff for everybody else. A little dump off. A negative yard throw. That ball was caught right here, which is behind the line, 2 yard scrimmage. And James Sook going to turn it into 8 yards. So now they go from 1st and 10 to 2nd and 3. Which is always good. Come here. See, now you got your tight end lined up as a slot receiver. It's still 12 personnel. Still 12 personnel. And keep in mind, and I put this one on here because we've used Mark right here too. And you can motion it. Say you motion Mark and do something else. Or moving him out wide or something like this. You just got to be creative with it. Got to be creative with it. Say that was Likely in the backfield, and they throw this screen at Likely. We know how well Likely is after the catch. You get a good block right here. You get a block right here, and you got to make him run through traffic. Easy yardage. Now, he didn't run it right, but you get where I'm going. Another example. You 2 tight ends at the top. And again, this is an example where you can use 3 tight ends. That could be Ricard or Kolar. This could be Mark. This could be Likely. Just got to be creative with it. You can't just rest on your laurels and leave them in one spot and think everything's going to be cool. Matter of fact, I didn't realize it, but this is their tight end. This is their 3rd tight end right there. That's their 3rd tight end. He just got drafted. That's Brock Bowers, if I'm not mistaken. At his freshman year. And it helps the run game too. Because you get bodies on top of bodies. And what I like about that is they fake this inside run, this fake jab down by Darnell Washington, I think that's his name. Then they all just going to lead out on the toss. I love this part about it. Because he's going to influence the defensive end, think he about to get blocked. So he gonna step down real hard, and they just gonna outflank him. See that? He got faked by the tight end's block, so he jumped down thinking he about to get blocked down to seal his gap, and now we got you outside. Now you don't even have to block it. If the back can hit that hole, you ain't even have to block that man. You got Hat there, and you got him trying to get up to there. See, look, the 96 never even touched him. They just don't get the rest of the guys. The guy they faked out never even touched him. I got 2 more for you, and I'm going to let you go. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me for this time. If you hadn't hit that like button, please do so. Please do so. Helps the channel out a ton. We closing in on 10K too. Tell a friend and tell a friend. Join the party. What I like about this is you just set them up with this toss. The play before, you just had this toss, same action. Same action. Now you got to pass off of it. You got this guard is at the center. Pulling, that might be the center. That's the backside guard. Pulling to protect the end, to protect the edge. You're going to fake that toss, and now you got your guys downfield. You got, say, Andrews running the seam. You're likely running up the sideline, and, you see what happens. Because we ran it so much, you got that, and if they don't play it, you can pitch it out there. The opportunities and the possibilities are boundless. Just got to be creative. Got to be creative. You got to be sitting up there right now, drawing all kinds of stuff up on that board, seeing how you can call it, tag it, implement it, all kind of stuff. And all you really got to do, or he really just pull from stuff he's already done. Put all his old playbooks together, pull it out, and just put it in before the season. Because the stuff you learn in the season, the stuff you learn in preseason, you should be able to retain that the entire year. Like all the base stuff that they learning now, they learning this this week and whenever the next OTA is, and then in training camp, everything they put in those 3 sessions, you shouldn't have to practice that for the rest of the year, other than maybe once or twice. That stuff needs to be committed to knowledge, and that way you can pull from it when the defense gives you certain looks you need. So we talked about, I think all 22 talked about the backfield and catching wheel routes. If you haven't seen that, he got a thread talking about how Monken, using the back out the backfield and running them on rail routes and stuff like that. But this is another case of that. You still got your 2 tight end look, so you're thinking heavy run. You're thinking. Look at James Cook coming out the backfield. He's gonna be wide open. If you can protect it, because they didn't protect the worth of flip. Quarterback about to get KO'd already. Oh, he was untouched. But he got it off. And look, because you're so run heavy and you got a back that can run routes, just think about James Cook being Keith Mitchell. Not so much Derrick Henry in this role, but I know Henry can catch because I've seen it. Just think about that being Keith Mitchell running the rail route at the backfield. Or Justice Hill. Justice Hill caught one versus the Lions, if I'm not mistaken. So we got Todd has, let me go back to my different screen. All right, here we go. Todd has a boatload of plays that he's obviously shown on tape that he can run. The thing is just to find a way to call them, find a different terminology, and put them in. That's the gist of it. Nothing more, nothing less. Find the terminology that you want to use, teach it, run it, and call it, because there's no need for likely to not show up in the season until Mark get hurt. That was uncalled for. So this is what I got for you guys, man. I appreciate you for coming out. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with me. Like the video. If you have not liked the video, comments down below if you got something you need me to read, and I'll scroll here for a second through the chat box and see if y'all talking about. But I'm gonna put it on BRB or ending soon and see what's on, man. I appreciate y'all, man. Peace and love. Enjoy the rest of y'all day. Start at the bottom. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. He just needs to run it. All this stuff in the offense, he just needs to run it. I was thinking the same thing. See Blooms. No problem, Cam. Happy to do it. Actually, matter of fact, let me come back for a minute. I've got to shout somebody out. Where my stuff at? So I actually got this idea from a group chat I'm in, from a man, Juice Man. And I meant to shout him out at the beginning, but I forgot. He suggested this idea yesterday while we was talking about something, probably just shooting the you know what. And it ended up being a great idea. So shout out to Juice Man for suggesting this. And I put it into play, man. As soon as he suggested, I finished doing what I was doing on the second channel. As a matter of fact, go over there to the second channel too. I got some stuff over there too. And then I started working on this. So shout out to Juice Man for suggesting this. And we'll go there, man. Appreciate it. Now I'm gone for real. Peace. Appreciate you, Juice.